Okay, once again, hail Carib-Sport here. I'm Verson Bolai. Let's take a look. Central FC is playing a game tomorrow in the against SV Robin Hood in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup. We wish them the best of luck. Just doing a quick recap on Defense Force versus Juventus de Cayes. Um, I look at the bit of a break we have until the September 5th game against the World Cup qualifier, Trinidad versus Curacao, and one or two players who are possibly eligible, not possibly eligible for Trinidad, and one question mark. Some very brilliant young players. As Dwight Yorke mentioned, there are some names out there that he wanted to keep close to his chest. Let's begin. Well, Defense Force versus Juventus de Cayes. Defense Force had the edge. They more or less had the better of the exchanges, but Juventus had enough of a match in the game to keep them honest. They were able at times to keep Defense Force out of the final quarter and make their own penetrating runs in the opposing quarter. A quick summary. In the 39th minute, Jelani Felix, nice run. Went from the left, ran across laterally, took a shot from about 50, 60 feet out, hit the left post. 48th minute was an offside goal by Jelani Peters. Goal, 53rd minute, Molino collected a through ball, went across to the right, shot across to the left, across the keeper, and scored. I put him on notes here, 35 years old, and he still has it, huh? Okay. In the 59th minute, there was a good break by the Juventus players coming on the left side, crossed it in, but broken up by the defense force defense. Okay. 86 minute, I put here St. Helier tried to work a 1-2 with Molino. Went past a player, went around him really nicely, but was well pressured by the goalkeeper who advanced out, forcing him to make an Obzoki pass to Molino. The pass went long. But it was a very dangerous minute, a very nice build up by St. Helier. Give the goalkeeper credit for coming out and pressuring St. Helier for him to make a bad pass. Shaquille Henry, who has come over from EC Port of Spain, good game. Good game. A good solid game, nice powerful shots from the outside. Kevin Goddard, well boy, every time this man come on the field, I expect him to see on a horse. He's a short, diminutive fellow, more like a jockey than a football player, but he had a good game. Some nice talent passes from the midfield. He had a lot of space to make the passes, but that's not his fault. And again, he held his own well. Some good distribution from the middle of the park. So that was it. As I said, Defense Force had the edge of the play. They won 1-0. Better than nothing. At least a Trinidad team is winning. Hopefully, they'll continue to do better. I'm very worried about the way Trinidad teams dominate games but hardly score. Um, Now, for those of you interested in the games that are coming up, a lot of football between now and October 1st. Probably more football in October. I just went to the end of September and saw a game for October 1st as well. Tomorrow, okay, Central plays, actually, Robin Hood hosts Central in the CFU Club Champs. Of course, September 5th, the national team plays, but September 16th, 11 days later, Central will host Muka. One day later, September 17th, Cavalier will host Defense Force. On the 23rd of September, Central will host Mount Pleasant. And on the 25th of September, Defense Force will host Weymouth Wales. You may remember Weymouth Wales, they cut Police Tail good and proper in the Shield tournament. And then on October 1st, just after September, you got Cibao hosting Defense Force. And I believe that's the final game in this particular um, round robin um, tournament. Okay, until the semifinals. So we have a lot of football left. What bothers me is this. Dwight Yorke came on one of those talk shows and he very diplomatically tried to explain, look, he knows football. He knows how to get players trained and ready, but he only has a 10-day window. The league's going on. There's pre-match, pre-season training and so on. And for a lot of people, they've started their season already. So he only has 10 days. Bear in mind, too, that some of these guys are coming from quite far. It'll take close to 24 hours to come over. They need probably a day to recuperate. If our match is next week, Friday, my limited math tells me the 10-day window starts on Wednesday, which is 2 days after this particular video. It's a Monday night here, early Tuesday morning. You come in on Wednesday. No, you leave Wednesday, you come in early Thursday for a lot of them, or some of them. You need to relax, especially if you come from Vietnam or Eastern Europe and so on. And maybe you start your training on Friday. All right, you still have a solid 6 days or whatever it is, 7 days with the team before the match starts. But it's not a lot. And White has to look at the players and the peripheral players and try to do his best with that and do the best. No, I know this is what I was thinking. Just me, we're not trouble like Dwight, but this what I was thinking. Look, Defense Force played last week Thursday. You roughly have 2 weeks before the World Cup qualifier, and you have roughly close to a week before the European and other players start coming in. Um, why could we not have? Okay, obviously not the central players, but there are other players in Trinidad. Central is not a huge part of the Trinidad team. Why could we not have gotten a President's 11 and played the President's 11 of another country, just for Dwight to have something to look at? And they could have trained. Like Defense Force was on a Thursday. They could have started camp on Friday. Have the Defense Force players join Friday evening or Saturday, and play this match on a Wednesday, again, which is more than a week before the Trinidad World Cup qualifier. Idea what would have behooved everyone was to have Defense Force versus the rest on the Wednesday. Okay, again, everybody would have a chance to rest and train. It would be a great for Defense Force to keep them match fit as they are in the middle of a CFU tournament. It would have been great for the other club players for them to maintain their match fitness. It's not like we have a proliferation of CONCACAF games or any kind of competition for most of these players. And I remember too that the next sorry the next CFU match is not until September 16th after the World Cup qualifier. So, of course, minus the central players, they wouldn't have humbugged anybody, and there would have been a chance for the clubs to have their best players seen by Dwight Yorke. Again, Defense Force versus the rest. Gotta take it down south or down in the east, let them pay a little something, make a little money. Again, just my idea. I'm sure at worst case scenario, Dwight probably has some kind of training going on and maybe a little exhibition match behind closed doors. But this would have been a great way to keep peripheral players in the mix and for try to see how they play against a higher level of competition. I can't remember all the names, are getting old, but there's some players and well into their 30s, but you have to understand we don't have time to warm up anybody, like that should have been done 18 months, 12 months, 6 months ago. We need to have the best players out there because we want to qualify for the World Cup. We need to have depth in every position. And we don't really have that much great depth. Rion Moore is slightly out of form. Aubrey has been out of sorts for a while. He just got a contract, so maybe he's getting better. Nathaniel James is good, but not great. But he tries, and he's one of the best we got. Um, as I've said before, Aubrey, John Paul Rushford, and Real Gil, wonderful against the smaller men, but their strength is not there against the bigger teams like Jamaica and USA. But I hope they're improving because, especially Rushford and Aubrey are in the States now, they've access to proper programs. And who knows, maybe John Paul with his team is doing well in a gym program as well. One can only hope, right? That's Central he's with, right? Okay, just making sure he switched over from AC Port of Spain. My point is, we need to have as many good players on the brink looking at them. You may not agree with my picks, you have your own picks, that's fine. But there's a guy called, if I remember correctly, Bertrand Figuera, midfield for Prisons, very nice player. He's about 32. Pestball Cummins, yes, he's hitting 36, 37, but easily the best defensive midfielder on Trinidad soil right now. Wicked left-footed shot from the outside. There's a guy playing left back for Prisons, forgot his name. Good Reuven left back has played for Trinidad before. Big, strong guy. And these are guys, keep them in the mix, have them playing. If ever you need to call them, you know what you're getting into, right? Of course, there's some other Zoom Zoom Garcia. He's a guy who would have been playing on our President's 11 all the time. Okay, he's in Guyana right now. At least the guy he's keeping him match fit. But there should have been something done with most of the other players because there are Trinidad players who we need to call off the bench. To be honest with you, are the players that Dwight is calling in, unless he calls in some new names we don't know about. There are only about 6 or 7 who are guaranteed to start. The rest are in the mix, but we don't know what's going on. And Ajani Fortune, he's out for now. So anyway, so again, Dwight was very diplomatic in explaining that he knows how to coach a team, he knows how to select and train a team. In other words, I know my job, and I don't need people who don't even know football telling me how to do my job. And I know what that feels like, not because I'm a big time coach, but if you've ever been very good at your chosen profession, yeah, to get advice from people who know nothing, who know less than you, can be a little irritating sometimes, especially when you diplomatically respond and they're still running them out. And I don't like to give Dwight talk because I didn't win a trouble like Dwight. Didn't even win a double. Um, so that is it. Hopefully something will be happening. Oh yeah, so Dwight very coyly said he has some players. Yeah, he knows about. He's not mentioning because he doesn't want the other teams to know about them. My point is, we are a little more than a week away from our next World Cup qualifier. What shouldn't these players have been called up already, or given a passport? And if not, well, I mean that taking real long, boss. That taking real long. Obviously, you have to wonder because if they had committed, then he could have mentioned their names because they committed and so on. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe there's a big revelation coming up in the next few days. But what? Breaking man heart here. But stress, stress. So the last thing I want to see, you know, one of the other um, social media guys, something with the Thornhills, I forget the name of the YouTube channel, forgive me, sent a wonderful post yesterday, handwritten about a bunch of eligible Trinidad players from abroad. A wonderful homework by him. Sorry, I cannot give proper credit because something with the Journey with the Thornhills is his YouTube. You guys should check it out on YouTube. Wonderful, wonderful information. I did a quick search just about one or two players, and there are some fantastic players who one or two I don't think will commit right now because they're so good. Another might. So let me just get to it. Somebody I mentioned before is Lakyle Samuel, the son of J. Lloyd Samuel, one of the hottest youngsters in English football today. He has captained England at under 17 at the World Cup, played from under 15 up to under 18, won the under 18 league with Man City. He is a right back. Can't see him committing to Trinidad right now with the potential he has. Um, Deron Payne, we all know about. He's part one third of the Payne brothers. 23 years old, plays with Volendam as a right back in the Dutch First Division. Has played over 40 games for them. Scored one or two goals. I would call him. I hope they call him. I would be putting him in, lassoing him in. I had hoped he would have been in the Unity Cup back around May, June, whenever it was, but maybe he had football to play, so we get blank. But I would love to see that man there, and his father is Trini, so let's get it on. I can't, I don't know how. Maybe Dwight was just talking to him undercover, and didn't want to bring up anything until and they were secured. I remember many years ago, J. Lloyd Samuel's father was being spoken to in '99 when he was about 19 years old and a Villa defender. People didn't know. And on our chat, back then I mentioned it, didn't have my full name there, but a pseudonym. And people were laughing and telling me that's not true. I must be working with the TTFA and trying to defend them. And no, J. Lloyd Samuel was being spoken to. He opted for England, was on the bench for a game. I can't remember the game. He didn't come on, and then after that, FIFA wouldn't give him permission to play for Trinidad. I don't know why, but then years later, he did play for Trinidad. So sometimes these fellas know what they're doing. They just don't have to tell you everything because they don't have to, right? So we as fans have to, gesticulate and guess and hope we know what we're talking about from time to time. Um, I know Sean Fuentes called it the armchair critics. You're damn right with the armchair critics, but sometimes the armchair critics can only go with what information they've been given to them. And this is why I try not to judge Dwight too much because when you're running the show, you don't have to advertise everything to everybody. So Deron Payne, 23 years old, right back, first division in Holland, and he is playing regularly. Yeah? So I can only hope. Um, then there's a kind of rumor thing going on. You'll have to forgive me. This is a Dutch player. His name is Sena Steijn. Forgive my pronunciation. He is 24 years old. A fantastic young player. He played for Twente, scored a bunch of goals, was the Dutch First Division Player of the Year in 2025, was purchased by Feyenoord for a record. It's considered over 20 million euros, 10 million cash, 13 million in add-ons. Was immediately made captain, made his debut against Fenerbahce in the European Club Championships. Um, his father is a class player, ex-first division player. Maurice Steijn is the current coach of Spartak Rotterdam. Before that was coaching Ajax, yes, first team. And prior to that was with Spartak Rotterdam. So he has a lot of pedigree. So what he has to do with Trinidad? Well, what he has to do with Trinidad, they say that his mum is has connection. He's eligible through his mother. But I did a little more investigation on the net, and there was a like he's eligible through his mother, and then no, this is information, misinformation. He is not eligible through his mother. I'm gonna get vexed and send the man an email and ask him, yes, because I don't know what else to say. But again, a young player with this kind of pedigree and his future still ahead of him. I don't see him committing to Trinidad at all, even if he is eligible. It would be nice to. I wouldn't say no. You know, he's an attacking midfielder. Deron Payne as right back, and of course, Lakyle Samuel is a right back as well. There are many, many more. I would love Dwight to surprise us and bring on two or three. I mean, we need depth. We need depth in every position, and Ajani Fortune is not going to be with us. So I would love to see Paul Cummins in the mix. There are very few defensive midfielders I've seen better than him. Um, but that's just me and my little theory. So Central plays tomorrow. Wish them the best of luck. About a week from now, maybe when the team has been announced, I will try to come up with a video talking about the national team and their chances. In another video, I did mention the Curacao team, which is at first I was like, yeah, we could handle Curacao. Then I did a little research and realized Curacao and Haiti have a lot of good class players, more players in higher level football than we do. And the Curacao has a bunch of guys in the Dutch first and second division, some in Belgium and elsewhere. I'll come and reiterate, or maybe just cut and edit the video in rather than repeat everything in a future video. But we have our hands full. We have quality teams ahead of us, and it will not be a foregone conclusion against these fellows. So it's going to be interesting, certainly. I mentioned in Haiti. Actually, yeah, Haiti is good too, but actually it's Bermuda. Bermuda we're going to be playing. So yeah, we got our hands full next week Friday. Once the team is announced, I look forward to having a comment on that. Having you guys comment. I know you don't want to agree with everything I say, which is fine. I'm not an expert. Most of you are not either, and we all have our own views. And some of you have very insightful views. So thank you for leaving your comments at the bottom. So as usual, if you like what you hear, even if you don't like what you hear, like, subscribe, share, and so on. Wishing Central the best tomorrow. God bless Central. God bless Defense Force. God bless the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And every once in a while, God bless me.